All right. Hey, thanks for listening to Good News in Auto Repair. I'm Braxton, and today's story is, well, a lot like the other ones that we've highlighted, a need in the industry, and someone saw the need and didn't just say, "Oh man, I hope they find what they're looking for." They found a way to themselves meet the need. And that's what this podcast is about, to share the good news that's happening in the industry, because it's out there. It's just not being talked about. And so much of this industry has a negative connotation to it. The automotive aftermarket is what I'm speaking of. But there's a lot of good people that do good things that aren't getting talked about. And one of those people is, well, I guess two of them really are with me on a Good News and Auto Repair. Lee Locklear, he is with Cutting Edge Solutions, and Missy Stevens with the Auto Care Association. Guys, thanks for coming on Good News and Auto Repair.
Braxton, thanks for having us.
So, I, and again, just for you listening or watching, I don't know much about these stories, and that's intentional. I don't do a ton of research in the ins and outs of what goes on, because I don't want to know. I want to know like you and learn in real time. And so I think this started with Missy. So start from the beginning. Tell me about what happened, and I guess the story can just unfold from there.
Yeah, no, sounds good. As a part of my role with the Auto Care Association, I am a community engagement manager. And I actually have three communities for the association. I have women in auto care, I have the tool and equipment community, and then I also have CCPN, which is predominantly comprised of shop owners, independent repair shop owners. So I had a gentleman reach out to me, completely unrelated to my T&E community. He reached out to me because he is an instructor at a high school vocational program in Pontiac, Michigan. And he's had an uptick in females enrolling in his program. So when he originally reached out to me, he found me because I was on the Women in Auto Care site. So he wanted to connect with me around how he could further help the females in his class, and if there was anything that Women in Auto Care had that could help support them on their journey. And we talked through all of those things. And as a part of that conversation, he was telling me that he he just took the program, and he was telling me about the high demand that they're actually having to turn kids away because they just don't have enough open spots, which for me was really good news to see that we're getting the interest, right? But he said that, upon coming into the program, he was like, I had some really dated equipment. And he said, but, my first and foremost, he said, I had to get new lifts because he said, I didn't want there to be a safety issue. So basically his entire budget had went towards putting new lifts in the facility. So that being said, he starts telling me how he's got one tool cart with tools in it for his 32 students. And so he was really kind of talking about like what a severe need they had for hand tools so that all of the kids got this really great experience. And I'm sitting there like, oh, I know some amazing people in the tool and equipment world. So I kind of, after having that conversation with him, I was having my monthly call with my T&E crew. And I said, hey, I talked to this gentleman at the school and he's really struggling here. And I kind of walked through it, and immediately Lee raised his hand and said, give me his contact info. I want to reach out to him. As well as Laura Bonney from ATD also did. She raised her hand and said, yeah, let me reach out to him as well. And then Lee, I'll let you kind of take it from there, because from there, that's kind of where you took the ball and ran with it.
Yeah, so I honestly, I don't even remember the gentleman's name. I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, Colt Gregor was his name.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I reached out to Colt, and it was everything that Missy just said. That they just didn't have the things that they needed to prep the students for transition into the industry. So I got with my team, and we had a mix of things that we sent them. As the more questions I asked, the greater the need got, it seemed like. I think we sent them two AC machines. He was in dire need of a 134A machine. We also sent him a 1234YF just so that the kids could be more familiar with what's currently hitting the streets and hitting the shops. We had some new toolboxes and new tools that we sent. We also had some trade-ins and some scratch and dent stuff that had been sitting around in the warehouse. So I don't know, everything that we sent, but it was substantial. It was a lot of tools, a lot of equipment, and Colt was just kind of over the moon. I didn't think we did that much, honestly. So we did what we felt we could, and we felt obligated to help because we were in a situation where we could. And I kind of checked that box and moved on, so to speak. Didn't know that it had the impact that it did until I met with Missy in Arizona at AutoCare at Connect. And of course, obviously, Colt was very grateful, but he's also a shy guy, come to find out. So that whole sentiment really was lost on me until Missy explained it to me.
How is this something that you do periodically, Lee, or was this an anomaly?
I don't know. I don't know that we've made a donation that large before. So everything is based on we do more where it's needed, if that makes sense. There's schools and there's communities that have budgets, and there's schools and communities that do not. So we have a tendency to focus our efforts in the communities that don't have the tax base to give them the things that they need. And we, not that if there was another school that needed help, we wouldn't help them. The level of help that we give that school is different. Livingston was in dire need of help and almost no budget. So automotive is something that I've done my entire career. I don't really know anything else. So it's something that I'm extremely passionate about. We're very active in our local schools, and both at the high school level and secondary. We do training. We do, we meet with the instructors. We sit on advisory councils at the school. It's not something it's not accolades that we're after. We feel compelled to support the industry.
Yeah, that's kind of where I wanted to go. Was, I guess, a secondary follow-up question before I really get there is, are you in a place where you can share a rough estimate of the monetary value of the donation?
So I would say it's probably about 20 grand,
Okay.
give or take. Might have been more than that when you factor in the second AC machine. That machine alone, the 1234YF machine alone, is probably in that $13,000 range at retail. I don't remember how many toolboxes we sent, but we sent several. And then tool kits. There was some multimeters, test lights, just the things that you really can't teach a class without.
Yeah.
It's really tough to teach Ohm's law using a multimeter, and you got 32 kids standing around one multimeter. Somebody's not going to learn.
I mean, first of all, that's incredible, and thank you for your generosity. It is going to change that part of that school's just next 15 years, and you're going to help get more people into this industry. We talk about technician shortages. I mean, that's going to help with that. But my other question is, what I was getting at earlier is, I mean, this is true generosity. There aren't many companies that can just give away 20 grand worth of something and not hurt. And I don't know what the situation is. I don't know if that truly.
We're a small company. It doesn't feel good, I can assure you.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
The gesture feels good, but the monetary impact, we're relative, especially compared to some of the companies that I sit on Missy's council with. We're one of the smaller companies on that council.
Okay, so that makes this even bigger. Is I mean, this is coming out of a true generosity. Like this isn't, oh hey, I'll give you, $500. Hope that helps. I mean, you really made a difference. You went over and beyond in this area, and so that I always am curious to ask people, where does that come from? Because you care about the industry. I get that, but you could still care about the industry and give the $500, the 1,000. Where does it come from to really to find the need and just say, hey, you know what, we're going to do this?
Um, Honestly, I don't know. Probably some of it is my spiritual beliefs. To be honest with you,
Yep.
I firmly believe that anytime you're in a position where you can help, you have an obligation to help, and that you should do so willingly, and with generosity. The industry's been great to me. I've had a fantastic career. And so I'm now in a position in my career where I can give back a little bit, and I enjoy that. I take personal satisfaction in being in a situation where we can give back a little bit. It's a lot. It has a lot to do with how our company is structured. Most of the people that work for me don't have a background in doing what they do. Um, the personal satisfaction that I've taken from the company is watching them grow and develop. So I think, subconsciously that, wanting to be part of somebody's growth and development and see them be better, drives that generosity.
So when did this happen?
Oh gosh, would it have been, I would say March or April. I mean, clearly it was before Connect in May.
Okay.
Yeah,
I would say Marches.
yeah, I think it was our second meeting. It was technically the first one that I was on because the first one I was on a plane. So it just came up in the first team. I'm new to the council, by the way. Missy just brought me on the council this year, and it was the first meeting that I sat in on, and she
Wow.
shared the need, and we took action.
You're setting a standard for the rest of those on the council. Now you got something to live up to, right?
Either that or they're like, dodge the bullet, one or the other. Somebody else did it, thank God.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how quick do they have the equipment now?
Mhm.
They're prepping for fall semester with this new equipment.
Yes.
So Missy, you've talked to, uh, I'm sorry, I forgot his name too.
Colt.
Colt. Okay. So what all did he say about Lee's generosity and the tools they've got? Give me like that conversation.
Yeah, it was really sweet. He reached out to me after the fact and let me know that, he'd been working with Lee and Laura from ATD, and he said, these people are my heroes. He was like, anybody that will, come to the table and want to make a difference in these young kids' lives. And he really like talked about what a difference it was going to make. I mean, to your point, Lee, when you said 32 kids standing around a multimeter is not doing anybody any justice. So, I mean, and then he sent pictures of the students with the tools, and they're all holding the stuff up, standing around the boxes. So I think it was super impactful to them too. And in fact, we celebrated that a little bit in Phoenix at Connect. And I think it kind of inspired us as a community to potentially work towards doing a grant each year to a vocational program to try to drum up and find some of those needs and just help where we can.
Right. Um, I'm I'm wanting to get. I'm looking up a quote. Oh, where is this? Okay, it's a Bible verse. Um, and Lee, you mentioned your faith, uh, and I'm a Christian, and I don't know what type of faith you were referring to, but Luke 16:10, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with very much. And so I'm thinking about, okay, somebody's watching or listening, and they hear a story like this, and at their core they want to be generous. They're like, oh, it'd be really cool to help somebody out, and not for notoriety, but they just want to help. But they don't have the 20,000 to be able to do something like that. But in my life, I've not been able to give a $20,000 donation like that. But I've seen little steps of generosity allow you to one day, hey, you'll grow in that. You'll be trusted. If you're trusted with little, you can be trusted with more, and it starts somewhere. So tell me more about, I guess, your generosity growth and experience and how that started for you, because it has to start somewhere. So for somebody that wants to start doing more like that, um, I guess give us a little bit of how that began with you and how you got to the point where you could do something like this.
It's a really good question, and yeah, so that verse is meaningful to me, and so I interpret that as be a good steward, and you'll get good rewards. So um, originally it was time, because that's the only thing that I could afford to give.
Right.
Um, so whether that was teaching in the evenings, volunteering somewhere, when I started the company in 2015 in my garage at the house. So obviously we weren't in a position then to do this kind of donation, to make this kind of offer. Um, and I think slowly over time we were good stewards and we were entrusted with more responsibility. So we just keep doing the right thing, and good things happen as a result. Um, Time, ironically, is even today, if not more so today than before. Time is the most valuable thing that you can give. It's the one thing that we can never get back. You can always make more money. There's a lot of other things that you can do, and it was probably, honestly, it's probably easier for me today to give that $20,000 in equipment than it would be to donate the time that I do sitting on the council at the school, going to the meetings. I am a liaison, not because I'm required to be, or as part of the council at the school, but I actively work with the shop owners that we deal with to get them engaged at the school, because the shop owners always say, oh, we need the next generation. Well, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm busy. Well, whatever. So sometimes I literally grab them by the arm and take them to the school and introduce them to the students, introduce them to the instructors and things like that, so that I can foster a relationship between the shop owners and the schools, so that those students have somewhere to go and start their career. Watching them now voluntarily take the time to be more engaged with the school is meaningful to me as well. So I would say start with time, because sometimes it's all you have that you can give, but that time is probably more meaningful than the monetary value.
Mm, I love that. It's fantastic, and it's so true. Um, Missy, anything you want to add to the story or
I just
thoughts?
wanted to add what really struck me and was like so impactful for me was, this guy was not reaching out to me because he was looking for a handout.
Right.
He was reaching out for me to figure out how he could better help support his female students, right? I mean, he was reaching out to me because he wanted to help them. And I just thought, gosh, there's got to be something that we can do. So, I mean, he was just a very humble gentleman doing, you know, working with our children, creating our next generation of technicians. So I was super glad that, just making the connection was able to help them.
Great. Well, Lee, I just, from future people and generations who are going to experience things because of this generosity. I say thank you. And I say thank you to future people that you're going to be generous to, because I can tell that, this is not a one off. This is going to be a continuing thing for you. So thank you for doing that for this industry and for the people that are going to be using these tools. So thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
For your If you're watching, if you're listening to this episode, this is important to for you. I want you to be involved. So in the comments below on YouTube, on Spotify, if you're listening on Apple Podcast or another platform where you can't comment, reach out on social media in some way if this has inspired you to want to be generous in your community in some way, or maybe you have questions, you can reach out to me as well. I can get that on to Missy or Lee. But also too, I mean, I want to know of more good news stories to highlight just like this, because I mean, I don't know about you watching, but I feel a little more inspired to be generous now myself, and hopefully you do. And so that's what this is about: sharing the good news and growing together as people, but just truly making an impact in this community, because that's what we need. So thanks for checking out Good News in Auto Repair.